What have you gained from the practice of living for yourself? It would seem that in your view, traumas are necessary.
Living for myself in the true sense gave me the understanding what trauma really is. It is a gift of freedom if a person accepts it. If a person doesn't, it is the cause of never-ending misery. As I have stated earlier, my lifelong non-reaction to my suffocation trauma made me see that as long as I don't react, I don't belong to this vicious cycle of codependency of the abused becoming an abuser to be abused later. Seeing this, if I react, it'll be still a choice, knowing the consequence of it. As an example, if I choose to drink a lot of whiskey, at least I know it'll give me a hangover tomorrow. Oh, I don't have to choose it. Not wanting to have more traumas, what some people wish to have is the ability to avoid traumatic incidents, including pending death, throughout the course of their lives. If such a thing were possible, they would have been free from traumas, as if they had avoided the flu virus. To come true to their wishes, they have worked on so-called preventive measures without being able to prevent death. However, in my case, knowing what reacting to trauma does, simply by choosing not to react, I'm free from consequences of traumas, like having immunity to the flu virus. Therefore, I cease to see traumas as traumatic incidents, since they no longer affect me traumatically. Without my suffocation trauma, I wouldn't have been free from traumas. Therefore, my trauma was a gift of freedom. It takes a virus to be free from a virus. Looking back on my suffocation trauma, it is easy to say now that it is a gift of freedom since I feel free now. But when that happened, it didn't appear to be that way. It was just far from a gift. However, if I had come to the conclusion that the trauma was a terrible thing and I had to get even, not knowing it would be a gift 40 years later, that could have been a premature judgment. What it took to be non-judgmental is to make a choice not to be judgmental. I know it doesn't come with immediate satisfaction, as we all know how difficult it is not to honk back at an idiot. My effort to make a choice on one trauma manifested that I have all the choices for a million more traumas. It isn't just being free from few traumas of past, as if I have erased the memory of traumatic past. It is all the traumas of past and all the traumas that will come, including death. It is an expansion.
You have implied that previously you lived as a delusional messiah. Can you explain what that was like and what you got out of it?
Well, I wrote a book, A Great Canvas, in the process of disillusioning myself. It's a difficult life, like a cat with living with the delusion that he's a chick while living with a bunch of yummy-looking fella chicks. It's frustrating and dissatisfying. Delusions and traumas are equal. For instance, unaccepted trauma of being ignored will give a person a delusion that he is born to be a leader who would do anything to become a dictator. However, a delusion can be a gift as well if it is overcome. In my case, without my Messiah delusion, I would have given up and reacted since I wouldn't have had either self-respect or direction. When it comes to direction, I mean, what do you do if you feel like you're born to be a Messiah? To be fair with yourself, you put yourself in a quarantine instead of start telling people you're a Messiah. And then you start investigating, see if that is true. 40 years later, I'm no one's Messiah, but I am my own Messiah. My Messiah delusion saved me.
According to your book, Sok, you predicted the Korean War will resume. Do you think this is inevitable?
In my view, it is. Not to have it takes seeing traumas as gifts. If people had the perception, like Santa, they'll be busy dropping gifts to their enemies rather than bombs. Not having wars would be equal to human civilization having the concept of neither competition nor blaming. But our history is a story of blaming and competition. Why do people compete? Because they perceive death as annihilation rather than a new beginning. With a perception, a person might as well get what he wants over someone else. Also, when some people perceive annihilation as inevitable, they might as well engage in progress and development, see if they can find a cure for death. Yet, such development throughout history have rapidly led us to the melting of Arctic and Antarctica as an example, and one step close to actual annihilation. Therefore, a person's perception always manifests accordingly. As one more example, placebo effect explains how a person's belief in healing results in actual healing. At this point, the question I have is whether there is any evidence of death being annihilation. It's all just speculation. Therefore, perception is an individual choice that manifests. However, real true perception is a choice without a cause. A person cannot wait for a cause. In order to change his perception, there will be a reaction. In case of North Korea and other angry countries, what would it take for them to change their perception of feeling victimized? A cause. And what would be the cause? Becoming a winner. Therefore, they will think that if they win a war, they will no longer feel victimized. For them to change their perception of victimhood so that they no longer need a war takes war in their perception, so their perception will manifest.